Hey everyone, welcome. Good evening, or whenever you're listening to this later on Spotify. I realize that I always leave people out on that because more people listen to it there than live. But either way, episode 34, Talking Shop with Outlier Firefighters. I'm here with Tim Cicero of Carol Stream Fire Department, Lieutenant. You said you've been a lieutenant for 3 years, right? In that,
Yep, going on three now.
and then how long have you worked there?
Full time, it will be 13 years.
Right. Congrats for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I don't get down there all the time, but I mean my old man's down there now, and it's
Yep.
pretty cool what you guys got going on. We're gonna try. Me and my lieutenant are shamelessly gonna try to come and hijack one of your guys' trainings one of these days.
You're more than welcome to
Come
come
explore.
anytime.
It sounds like a lot of fun. So, that being said, thanks for coming on the show. I'm really excited to chat with you and share what you're passionate about.
As am I.
So we'll just roll right into it. So, what was your first exposure to the fire service?
Oh gosh. I mean, in high school, I had to decide firefighter or teacher. And God, I'm glad. I love all the teachers out there, but I made the sacrifice to do firefighting, and thank God I did. So I went to Glenbar North. It's in Carol Stream, ironically. And then from there, I went to COD, and I talked to a couple firefighters, and I does not run in my family. So we said, some guy said, go to COD. And so I went through the fire science technology program, went to the EMT class. And that's just where and of course, I was 18. So that's where I just started learning. And I had no idea back then of like what to do. And we'll get into later about how it's different now. And if you want to get into the fire service. So I just started taking classes and getting to know teachers who were firefighters and then go from there. My EMT class, I actually passed, but I failed the first test and I never took it again because I was young, dumb, and stupid. So I actually had to take my whole EMT class again, which I passed obviously the second time. Um, and then from there, Carol Stream, I think I was 20 or 21 when Carol Stream at the time had paid on call firefighting. So I was able to get on there and they were able to put me through the fire academy, who I'm still friends with today in that fire academy. So I started as a POC when I would go on at night and work all night and be that extra guy on the fire truck, which was a good stepping program for anybody. And then they're like, yeah, if you want to be full time, you got to be a medic. And I'm not smart back then. I didn't read books. I was no good in high school. And I do classes at Wheaton North where I teach those high school kids. And I tell them, I said, you don't need to be an A student. So you could be a C student with no drive and you could still be a firefighter. I could teach anyone to be a firefighter. I can't teach you how to be a scientist or a teacher. So that's where it all just started snowballing. And I went to medic school, obviously passed by the skin of my hair, but made it through. And from there, it was, I got on the contract with Carol Stream, like 2 months or 2 weeks after I went through, passed my state exam. Back then, you had to be state exam. And then it just started rolling from there. So
No, that's awesome, and we definitely can talk about it later how it's changed now. Like,
oh yeah.
but really, it's well, even we can talk about it now if you want. But like, my path is somewhat similar. Like, and so I'm 34. I've been in the fire service total 14, full time of it 6 this year, and like I went through a very similar path. I was an explorer into part
Yeah.
time, into contract, into full time. But like, it seems like even in the last 5 years, that's not a path anymore. Like,
Nope.
it's almost instantly on a fire department full time,
Yeah.
and that's just how it is.
Yeah. And we always say the contract's always a good stepping stone. And thankfully 3 years ago, Carol Stream got rid of our contract. We were able to swing that with the trustees and it's been a blessing, but it was always, hey, we were always there. We were always that guy. And every fire district or fire department contracts are looked at differently. We all know that, but it was always a good place to start. And it was never frowned upon. And now they make very good money. So it's not the wrong path to take at all.
Yeah.
I, I mean that's and I have not a following, but people come to me and they ask how to get into the fire service, and that's where we sit down and I say, okay, this is your route. Where do you live again? And then you give them those places, Addison, you know, Hanover Park, they take part-timers on to teach them through the fire academy. Elburn, Sugar Grove, it's all spread out, but you just have to, the more people you know, the
Yeah.
more places you reach out to find out, okay, who's accepting people? Because before you had to be sponsored by someone to get inside of I'm not going to drop $4,000 to rent fire gear. That's just unheard of when you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
So nowadays it's, hey, they'll hire you and start teaching you right away, and then they'll they'll get you hired somewhere. And they know, yes, they want you to stay there, but that doesn't always happen. We get full timers that leave to go somewhere else, which is fine also. And that's the path that people want to take. But ultimately you just want to become full. And I was in that limbo stage of Paco to contract for a long time. So, and I was on Lincolnwood for 4 years before I got hired full time in Carol Stream. And some of that had to do with me making bad decisions. I was actually on Hanover Park for a few months where I actually got fired. And I'm not ashamed of, I made bad decisions when I was younger, and I got let go. And thankfully, PSI picked me back up on the contract in Lincolnwood. It was absolutely a blessing that happened, because it straightened me out. And Lincolnwood has a bunch of great firefighters, paramedics up there. And I got dialed in there. And then thankfully, Carol Stream called me up for full time. And so, I mean, honestly, this year I'll be in the fire service for 20 years, but I've only been full time for 13. And it seems weird, but I'm a little bit seasoned, but I'd never call myself seasoned because I've been through ups and downs. But it's put me through a lot of good experiences and problem solving, and we'll talk about it later. But good lieutenants, bad lieutenants, good battalion chiefs, bad battalion chiefs that you learn the good and bad from. That only makes you better firefighter or lieutenant when you grow up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting, to have that much experience prior to full time, right? And like, I feel like at least now, like people that I talk to, like, and thanks for sharing that. Like, people that I talk to now don't shy away from that anymore. It seemed like it was a thing to hide, like that you were part time before, and that it didn't count or something like that. And I feel like we're growing a lot, or at least in my area, where that's a common. I was at LDDM this last week, right? And it used to be like, how many years of service do you have? And people would be like, well, like total, or like where I'm at now. Nobody asked that question. Everybody put how long from if they were 18 years old when they started. Right. And I kind of like that, but there's still humility with it, right? Like you're saying, there's still plenty to learn. It's not like, 21 years is a long time to do anything, like you're saying, but that doesn't mean that it's over, and that
right. And the more that you're open about that, then other guys like, oh wow, he just told me that, like, and stuff that you normally don't tell other people, and it's like, well, no, you're my brother. We're gonna talk about this, and we're all gonna. I want us to be open books and not, and that's why we call each other brothers and sisters, because I see the guys at the firehouse more than my own brothers and sisters now. Yeah, I'm in my 40s. I don't get to hang out with my true siblings. So, I'm an open book now about, there's nothing to hide, and we're truthful with each other, and we're always open, and it's not just firehouse stuff. It's at home stuff. It's relationship stuff. It's kids stuff. If you have kids, it's boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever it is, you should be open about it. And we're there together for so long. You just have to be open about it.
Yeah. Oh, it's a necessity. Yeah. I couldn't echo that any louder. You're totally right. So, where did you kind of pick some of that mentality up? Was that something that you developed, or maybe like another senior man or somebody kind of taught you to believe in that way? Or I know you had mentioned you'd made mistakes and learned. I'm in that camp too. I totally respect that. Where'd you pick up that mentality though?
No, I've had a lot of mentors along the way, and I can't name just one. Because in Lincolnwood, I had Brian Pierce and Deed Freeland, who were always like my barn boss and my lieutenant. And they were always there for me. If I ever needed something, I could call them on my day off, on my shift, whatever, and just talk to them man to man about anything. And from there is really where it started. I could go back to my Paco days of Carol Stream, but Carol Stream has changed tenfold. And back then it was just, I was just trying to be a firefighter. That's it. So I wasn't thinking about how I was going to be a leader or anything, or when I grew up. So I wasn't even thinking about that then. But then when I got back onto Carol Stream, and my barn boss at the time was Tracy Denton, who since has retired, and he really has molded me into just being on the street was good, but also around the firehouse and taking ownership and pride. And that's where it all started from there to get things going. And then at the time, my lieutenant was Rob Schultz, who, if you didn't know, who is now the fire chief of Carol Stream. So that just proves to you right there that he's taken those steps all the way up, and I still follow him. We get along like twins because I know exactly his move, and I'm, for lack of better terms, anal like him, where OCD kicks in and all this other stuff, and I really learned to harness what I have and my whole company or anyone that I'm around to influence and teach and own your own, and I hate micromanaging, and we'll get into that later too, but I don't like doing stuff for guys because that's not how I learned. I didn't have someone show me how to do it and do it for me. They said, that's how you do it. Now go do it. Learn from your mistakes and do it on the training ground so you don't do it at the fire. All those kind of things. And then Chief Hoff was also influential. I was with him for 7 years, and that man, if you didn't know that he was what he was in Chicago, you wouldn't know in Carol Stream. We literally had to explain it to people of who he was. And our biggest example was, and Michael Jordan? Yeah, that's like the Michael Jordan of fire departments. So that's how it described. And most humbling man in the world. But he literally would give you the shirt off his back. He'd give you the pike pole in the fire room. He would give you whatever you needed to succeed. And that's key right there. Whatever you need to succeed is what you have to give guys. If you don't give them everything they need, they're not going to succeed. And if you want them to be better than you, I want people to be better than me. I don't want them to be me. I want them to be better than me. So I'm going to show them everything I can, and I want them to show me things so that they excel when they get to that part in their life.
Yeah, it's an awesome mentality, right? I mean, it's people call that servant leadership or whatever kind of buzzword you want to put to it, but like that's really like at the highest level of leadership is be better than me. Like
yeah.
And I think we can kind of get into some of that stuff. So you'd mentioned letting them do it, letting people own it, letting firefighters do what they need to do, to be successful. So could you kind of explain some of that belief and maybe some examples of letting them do what they need to do and take ownership?
Yeah. So, and there was, for the lieutenant's exam, there was a book we had to read, and the author actually came and spoke. And don't quote me on this, but it was, I showed them how to do it, and then I have them show me how to do it, and then I have them do it, and then I have them teach how to do it. And then it's taking the evolution of teaching them how to just take ownership of it. But the best example that I can give is I have 5 guys my 5 guys on my company. We sit down at roll call every day, and I give them what I have because I'm an open book, and then I let them lead the day. Like guys, we have to go do this pub ed thing, and we have to go shop, but hey, we have nothing scheduled for training. What do you want to do? Oh, that's a good idea. Do you want to lead this? And I don't prep them on it, and they're like, well, that's good that you've never done it. Okay. So I want you to fumble over this, and I want you to learn from your mistakes to know when you make the mistake. Because if I sit there and hold your hand the whole time, when I put you in the real thing one day, you're not going to know how to do it because I'm not going to be next to you. So I want you to learn like I'm not there, so that when it happens in real life, you're gonna overcome these fears. And it's firefighting. I hate planning. I hate it. I don't like to plan out my day because you know how that goes. If you plan out your day, the tones are going to drop in 5 minutes, and then it all goes to shit. So I like flying by the seat of my pants. When the tones drop, we don't know. Like my OV, he always says, well, Tim, what are we going to do when we get there? I'm like, Joe, I don't know what we're going to do. You know, I could tell you what I think we're going to do, but if I say that and we don't do it, then I'm a liar. So I'm going to let us figure it out together what we need to do when we get there. Okay. And if shit's not hitting the fan, I might ask you, what do you think we should do next? That way they could have that sweat on them to say, oh, shoot, what do I got to do? Hey, take a deep breath. What do you think needs to be done next? Either that's right or wrong, or let's go try it out and see if it works. If there's no life hazard, going on right now. So really taking it and let them run with it. And then the other thing is the whole pass down thing that we do in the morning with our lieutenants, and the guys do it on their own. And a lot of the stuff I'll tell the guy that's relieving me, I'm like, hey, the guys are going to be talking about this and they're all going to figure it out together and they're going to get back to us about it. And they might not always agree with me on it, but at the same time, it's like, hey, we know that we could do it. Us three that have the three shifts, that's why we have this job. We can figure it out. But if it's not dire, if we don't need new chairs tomorrow, let those guys figure out which ones we're going to get. Let them all argue about it, or let them learn to work together, because we all know that there's 3 different shifts and everyone's right. So let them all figure it out together and lead and figure it out and take charge and learn from your mistakes and group together. Then at the end, we're all in the same battle.
Yeah, I mean, then at least all five of your guys are they get it. It's theirs, right? You don't have to do like it's almost like that when you have to be the lieutenant it's almost more valuable. You know what I mean? When you have to be like, guys, we need to do this. Then they're gonna listen if you're telling them, hey, you need to make sure you're scrubbing the toilet with this brush at this time in a counterclockwise. Like that's, you know what I mean? And then when you come up and like, hey, car just crashed into this building over here. I need you to do this. They're gonna be like, you need us to do what? Like you have to kind of. I love that mentality.
You said it just right, and that it's a very good way of saying it. Is they need to learn how to do it without being told how to do it.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, it's a great way to lead crews. It's cool that you guys. So then you and the other 2 lieutenants, you kind of collaborate in that way. Did I kind of? It seems like
when it comes to stuff that is going to affect the entire station, right? So if we're going to be getting a new saw because we want to try something else out, let the guys and girls figure out what they want to get together. Don't let the lieutenants do it, because I could sit down at roll call and say, okay, us lieutenants are pitching this saw. No, that's not what should come. It should come from the people that are running the saw, right?
Yeah.
So in those kind of things. Now, the training that we do, that's per company, that's totally different, where we might do something different than them. And even the way that you run a full arrest, maybe they're doing something a little bit different, but we're still getting the care done. But the stuff that has to do with our house, because we're the bigger house, we're the main house, so we have more stuff going on there. And if we need to do something that's going to collaborate over all of our minds together, let them go and let them figure out how to run this as leaders. Let them take charge and let them figure it out together, because it's not detrimental. It's not something that is going to matter if we get this saw or that saw. So let them rack their brains and come to a consensus without the lieutenants, having full say of it.
Yeah. So 3 years you've been a lieutenant. So was your transition into that kind of already happening? You know what I'm saying? So
So the way that we in Carol Stream is how we do it is, if you get made a lieutenant, we have 3 relief lieutenant spots. So you could be on as a relief lieutenant you could even jump that technically if none of the relief lieutenants wanted the open station spot. But usually you could be in that for a few months, if not a few years, as a relief lieutenant. So I went from black shift to red shift, and I was on red shift for 10 months before I got made into my own station lieutenant. Thankfully, I got to the same station that I was at for 10 years prior to that. So that just made it much easier for me. And now I'm not saying my house is the hardest house, but that's the headquarters house. So you got more traffic there. You got more the training tower is there. You got the training room always going on. You have a lot of stuff in and out of there. So it's a busy station. So luckily I knew that like the back of my hand. So I floated into that spot seamlessly. So it worked out very well. And then not ironically, but thankfully I got 5 very, very young not green guys, but my barn boss had 8 or 9 years when he came over to me, and then everyone just trickled down from there. And it was beautiful because he was leaving another station, coming to me, and he was ready to learn Station 28, and then all my other guys were already there, and they were ready to train and ready to go fight every fire. And it was great because I'm like, guys, and I knew from the beginning, they're like, Tim, it's going to be hard, other lieutenants. It's going to be hard for you to not go in there and pull the ceiling. And I want to not be cocky. I said, no, it's not going to be hard. I said, because I've had those guys that do that, and it's not the way that I was taught how a lieutenant should be. They need to be getting the next job. They need to be looking out your back. They need to be thinking about the next ceiling that we're going to be pulling. They need to be getting, okay, what room are we going to search next? So I painted that picture from day one with my guys, and they weren't sure about me, how I was going to be as lieutenant. And I think they tell me it's good. So it's literally has taken off, and they now know what Lieutenant Cicero wants from him when we go to a fire. And the first few months, they're like, oh gosh, what are we going to do? I'm like, guys, it's going to be good. We're going to be fine. I'm going to show you what I want, and you guys are going to do it. And then before you know it, we know it needs to be done at a fire. You guys know it needs to be done at a fire. I do too, and I don't want to do it. I want you guys to do it. Okay, so it really was an easy transition for me, and I love it to death because a chief the other day said, Tim, I love your company when they're working, and he sees them all over the place, right? He sees all the stations, all the firehouses, all the companies. He's like, your guys just always want to work, and they're ready for the next task, and it's not, oh, we need a break. No, they're go-getters. They know what is expected of the house. It's not because the fire chief or the deputy chief or the battalion chief want it done. It's because it's our house, and we know that it needs to be done. And if we don't do it, it's not going to get done. So take ownership of it. We know that how it should be done, so get it done. And it's flawless. It's a matter of me looking at someone else knowing, hey, that get done, I got it. And then we go off and get it done.
Yeah, you don't have to have a big conversation. Yeah. It's
right.
Just, huh? Yeah, okay, and you're done.
Yep.
It's grunch
just like
almost. Yeah, right? Huh? Yeah, all right. Yeah, I do. I love that style, and I love what you said too, that you've worked for that both sides, right? I think most of us have, right? Where you've had that lieutenant that can't put the tool down, and you're like, just let me do it, man. Like it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I still see it to date, even with guys that I work with, and I'm like, hey, let them do it. I said, what are they? If you're going to do a vent under search, and you know that it's not horrible inside there, be there with them. But put them in the window, get it done. And if you've never done it before, then I'm sorry, but let them do it because their career is going to go fast too. So let them do it.
Yeah. I think one of the things. So I mean, we're a little less staffed than you guys, but one of the struggles I think for people to realize, at least in my world and a lot of other places, that just run 3 right on an engine.
Yeah.
I didn't start that way as a volunteer, like at all. Like I had more people than I've ever had in my life when I was a volunteer. But I was pretty much on a 4-person company. So like the junior guy was on the pipe, and then like the senior man was kind of the heel man, and the lieutenant was right behind you when you were on the pipe. And like moving now into 3-person company, like that's not a thing. Like the pipe man's on the pipe and the lieutenant's humping hose.
Yeah,
and
you're it.
We've been kind of helping people realize that a little more in our training of like, the lieutenant will yell back, hey, we need 10 more feet. And you'll be like, well, go get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's kind of your job, unfortunately, at that point. So I think that only echoes up here in the burbs, and well, you're in the burbs too, but you know what I mean? Like different staffing and that kind of stuff. Like people need to hear that. Like, you got to train your guy well enough where you can be at the front door, and he could be down the hallway, and you're okay with that.
You're okay with it. Yep. Yeah. Where were we the other day? Oh, we were in an apartment. It started on the balcony, and it converted into the attic, and we were starting to, and my guys, I'm like, hey, they need the ceiling opened up now to fight this fire, right? It's not in the units, it's in the attic. So they're going, and then the battalion chief says, hey, I got a couple doors over here that need to be forced. Now, we know that there's no one inside because everyone locked their doors and they all left. So I'm like, my guys are doing the most important thing right now, pulling this ceiling so that they could get that fire out. We all know that stuff doesn't get better until you put the fire out. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to be over here forcing these two doors. And they look at me. I'm like, don't worry, I'll get other doors for you to force. So I go force those two doors, and I'm away from them for 2 minutes. And then I go search the rooms, and I come back. Now, yes, there's another company up there, and we're all accountable for each other. But you have to get used to that separation, and that you don't need to be on my heel, and I don't need to have my eyes on you all the time, because we train and we learn, and we know if it's getting shitty in there, yeah, that might change a little bit. But if we got this fire and we know where it is or where it's going, then we could not freelance, but we could use our best judgment and keep each other in an earshot.
Yeah, it's totally breaking what pretty much every fire academy would ever teach.
Oh gosh, yeah.
What any NFPA, right? Like, but I love that now. Like, I feel like the fire service is owning that now, and is actually saying, no, you don't have to be ducks in a row. Like, I think the voice is getting so much louder for that, and it's awesome. It's translating to training, and like it's echoing the things that you're saying. You should be able to, as a lieutenant, to walk away for 2 minutes. You should be able to do that and be fine with your people doing the job that they're still doing. Yeah. And even if they have to pivot, if you've trained them well enough as a lieutenant, right, then you still trust them to do what they need to do.
Right. We're fortunate enough to have the burn tower that we could actually, we don't have to crawl through our bunk room or our kitchen or our day room to get searches done. But even in those situations, I'm like, hey, go. I said, just get used to searching without me being there with you, because you're going to be doing it. I said, and we know what we're going into. If it's a bedroom, you guys know what a bedroom looks like. I can't do that in this burn tower, but you're going to know what you're looking for. And you're going to know, even a nursery, you know what a nursery looks like where a baby is in a crib, and you know where to look for a baby. Like, that's something that we don't always have in the burn tower that you could search. But let's all agree, I do way more table talk or coffee talk about experiences than we actually do hands-on, because I can't. I can't simulate every single thing that we've seen as firefighters, or what I've heard from other firefighters about what they experience, or May days. Right? May days, yes, we do train on May days, but sometimes it's better to listen to these May days and hear how it actually goes down, and then Monday morning quarterback the hell out of it. Yes, you should. I mean, not saying they did bad, but Monday morning quarterback, and how could we do this better if it was us? That's all.
That's how you're respectful to it, right? Is learn from it, right? I'm with you all day.
And on that, I mean, you can call it whatever you want. Critiques, fire critiques. I know there's an acronym for these after fire briefings or whatever it is. The biggest thing I could say about that is A, do it, and B, don't be ashamed about if you did something wrong, and admit to it, because you're still here and you're still able to talk to it, and we could teach each other about that. Hey, that was a bonehead move, right? It worked. We made it work, but maybe next time try it this way. You know what? Next time we train, let's do it a little bit different and kind of set up the same scenario so that we don't do it again. All right? My bad. I did it. Now, everyone learn from this, and the same thing, if another fire comes in and you screw something up, I want you to be open about it so that we all know what happened.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So when you get, you get your new crew, you got your new crew together. What level, or sorry, not, I shouldn't say what level. How much experience is your most junior guy right now on your crew?
Most junior, he's got about 3 years on with Carol Stream, and he had a year or two somewhere else. And he's always learning, and no, take that back. Everyone's always learning,
Sure.
but he's learning a new way of learning. And I'll tell you the hardest thing as a lieutenant. One of the hardest things as a lieutenant is everyone's in a different spot, right? Of where they are learning wise. So I'm trying to teach this guy how to be an officer. I'm trying to teach this guy how to drive the fire truck. I'm trying to teach this guy how to search or read smoke conditions. So everyone is different, and uh, I'm trying to now. What I've learned to do to fix that is um, put him with someone else. That hey, I want you to work with him and when you need help, come ask me, and then say, hey, we're thinking about this. What do you think? That way, I don't have to be the one that's totally teaching him. Right? It's like a mentorship about something else. And believe you me, the junior guy who's got 3-something years on with us, he's really good at EMS reports. So he might be teaching the barn boss a few things on how to write on image trend, and it goes back and forth. So for junior wise, we go from 3 years to 3 years to 4 years to 4 years to 9 years.
Yeah.
So it's pretty young.
Yeah. I mean, well, first off, I was going to ask, how you get him involved, and you kind of answered that already, right? Like, there's something that he's probably good at. Now he can kind of show somebody something, and if it's EMS reports, if it's whatever, he's got some skin in the game, and he can be part of what you're talking about. But the other thing that I was going to ask about with in terms of like how young your shift is, there was a question in my job, and it kind of came up. They traditionally would put a new lieutenant with the two most senior people, and we don't have that anymore because a lot of them retired. But it sparked a question of like, well, who would you rather be with? Would you rather, as a new lieutenant, would you rather be with the two senior guys, or two junior guys? And the caveat behind that was that the senior guys were kind of checked out, but the junior guys were plugged in. And so it was a really interesting conversation, because obviously some people were like, well, the two of them together got, 60 years of total of fire service experience. Like, there's a lot there. But then, those two guys also might complain a lot more. And then, the junior guys, it was like, well, they're hungry, but now, like, I have to put a leash on them a little bit more, but they're always trying to do something. I was just kind of curious, maybe your thoughts on some of that. Not which you prefer, because you have a pretty good spread, but kind of the dynamics between some of those different things.
No, that's good, because putting two senior guys together, it's horrible now, because they'll just write each other and then, we're done with this. Now, if you have that senior, let's play 20 plus year firefighter, and we're going to call him the senior firefighter. Make him, kind of like we said before, is I want you teaching him and get him up to par on this, and make him the instructor to keep him involved in the game, and everyone is different, because some guys just want to be there and they just want to run calls and be done for the day. Oh, we got to do training. All right, let's go through the paces. Let's put on our gear and go through and get it done now. And then they just want to go home, put the hose back on the engine and go back home. But I'm going to say, hey, you know what? While we got this on, I want you to go show him how you pump this thing. Show him how you make this thing hum. And then at the same time, when we get back to the firehouse, I want you to do something else. Now, at some point, is he going to work as hard or as long as the younger guys? Probably not. But that's where I would still want him to be engaged and involved in the company. And again, like I said, I don't like teaching. I love teaching, but I don't like to take the soapbox and stand out and say, this is the way that we have to do it. Make him own it and make him spread his knowledge, because, when you get those guys talking, especially around the table, they'll spill it all, and it's great. And that's good talking. And then that's going to engage those guys and say, oh man, I hope I get to see that one day. I said, yeah, I hope you do too. And then you go into more stories about what's going on. So now, keeping the leash on the younger guys, yeah, that's up to the lieutenant to say, hey man, I have an expectation. I'm going to get you work when we got it, but I just need you to, hey, I know where we need to get work. I'm not going to go bull ourselves in there when we're not supposed to be in there, because then we're going to get someone hurt. Know that what I'm doing or what we're doing is for a purpose. So we can't get in there. I'd rather walk down and get all the cows instead of just go down and get one of them. So relax. There's going to be a lot here. Don't bust it too quick. Otherwise, we're going to either get ourselves hurt, get someone else hurt, and we need to really take our blinders off and concentrate on what's going on. Because I still remember when I was a Paco and Carol Stream, and I had one guy, hey, stop, look around. That house is on fire. Isn't this fun? Right? I'm like, oh my God. Because you get so tunnel vision as that new guy, and you really need to have someone with a rein to say, whoa, hold up. Let's talk about what we're doing, right? And a perfect example is a week ago, we got a house to pull some ceiling in. And the 3-year guy just started going in there, pulling. And it looked like Swiss cheese. And I'm like, this, let me show you how to pull ceiling methodically, get it right. And it might not seem like it's fast, but you'll see it. These things are going to come down in sheets. So we got our fire last shift. And afterwards, he's like, Tim, it made sense. And because I went up and I said, okay, the fire's there. So I want you to take all, and I point with my tick exactly where I wanted to pull. And I say, okay, now go do what you learned, and I'll walk away. And then afterwards, it's like, oh my God, it made sense. I didn't just go in there and try to get it all down. I thought about what we learned to get it done. So you have to learn, they have to learn the reins and how they should pump the brakes or not. And when you need to go fast and when you don't need to go fast. Work smarter, not harder.
It's a total thing, and I'm been in that camp for sure. I think almost everybody probably has at some point, right, where they're just balls out, and then somebody kind of gives them a yank and go, oh yeah. We were talking the other shift. I truly do not remember inside the building of my first fire ever. I don't remember it at all. Nothing. I have nothing of it. And I have a probationary guy that I mentor, and I was telling him that. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, dude, nothing. I have absolutely nothing from it. All I have is the front yard, and someone handed me a smoke detector that still worked. And I was like, wow, that's cool. That's all I remember. And so we've been trying to work on things to maybe so he doesn't repeat that, right? Like, hey, this is how you can breathe different to keep your heart rate down so you're not so and like he's already had his first fire, but trying to teaching that stuff that I didn't friggin' know at that point. Yeah. Timothy Wood is in our chat. He was clarifying your top man in your crew is 9 years on your department total.
Yeah, I think that's when he started. I think that he's now 10 or 11 years on. Yeah.
And it's funny, Tim, I didn't even bat Tim Wood, I didn't even bat an eye at that because, that's almost senior in my department right now because of how much turnover there is. But 9, I mean, by all accounts, most places that's not that much.
Yeah. So
traditionally, right?
We're 63 or 66 with the Chiefs, and half of our department has 6 or less years on. Yeah. And 9 of those were from the drop in the contract. So that was 9 positions right there. And we've had obviously a few retirements in the past 6 years. So add that all together. I mean, we really just turned over a new leaf. And it's amazing how fast it went, because I'll never forget. I'm like, oh God, you look at that seniority list and I'm like, God, I'm really low. That sucks. And then before you know it, you look at, and then you're moving up and you're moving up and you're moving up. And then you look around it sounds like a joke because you hear it all the time. Our guys are like, just like my kids are growing up and how fast it goes, and you're going to miss it one day, which I'm not. But you look at that and like, oh my gosh, and now people are looking up to me as a lieutenant, and I still don't see myself as a lieutenant. Let's just get that straight. I do not see myself as a lieutenant. I know that I am a lieutenant, but I think that I am literally just a guy to help these guys work harder and to get fire and to do the right thing. They don't even call me lieutenant. They know they could call me Tim or Timmy or Cicero. They might do it on a fire scene out of respect, but they know that I'm just there to make sure that they get what they want. When they're at their worst, they know that I'll be there for them. And if they're at their best, I'm not going to take any credit for it. I'm going to give them all the credit for it. So I'm literally there to make it so that they're good. And on top of that, it literally has to do with their future, right? My future's set, right? I'm a lieutenant. I where I need to be. Can I be a battalion chief future on? Of course I can be. But that's my problem. My job is to get them to where they want to be in the future. That's honestly all that I'm worried about right now. So,
Lieutenant, when are you gonna come up?
I'm coming. Good night. Good night. Go. Sorry.
No, you're all good. I just tried to put mine down before the show, so don't you worry about that. It's
Fine. So that's where I'm at with it, is just to make sure that, and of course there's a book that I'm reading right now, is the challenges of leadership, or leadership challenges, and that's exactly where it is I want them to know where I want to be as a company, as a fire district, and then I want them to know what is expected of everybody, and I also want them to know what they can be if they want to be it. They could be a firefighter forever, but don't forget, the best firefighters are great leaders, and people follow them. And, we have those senior firefighters that are 20 plus years that never had an inkling of ever being a lieutenant. But some of those guys are really, really good at what they do, and either good barn bosses or just good senior men that are great teachers and etiquette and pride and, tradition around the firehouse. It's really amazing, and just how it all stays together. And we need to keep doing that for the future. You need to keep doing that for the future. And we know that it's ever changing between whatever we call the next generation of firefighters that are coming up. But you can't just say that's how it is. You can't.
Yeah.
We're doing it. We're doing it. You're doing it being a 6-year firefighter. I'm doing it being a 13-year fire lieutenant. My battalion chief is doing it as a 20-year battalion chief. And, that it doesn't matter. The fire service is the fire service. We might fight fires differently, but the etiquette around the firehouse and just the pride and tradition, should never ever change.
Yeah, I
should
agree.
never change.
Oh, I'm with you all day. I've always believed that like the lieutenant sets the expectation, right, the standard, right, but like the senior man sets the soul, right? Like
right.
That's what that comes from. And
and I love it because we got a chat with me and all my guys, and they have a total separate chat without the lieutenant in it, so that they know, hey guys, don't forget that Tim really wants us to be on top of this for next day, and they're talking about that on themselves. I'm like, that's good, because that's them, proving. And I'm doing the same thing. Like, the battalion chief is expecting this out of my company for the day. It's good, and let's all agree that the chief is our boss. The trustees are our boss, and it's a job, but we don't want to make it a job. It's not about that. It's about us as a family, as a company, as a department. We're there for each other and for the town. We're not there for the money. I mean, yeah, we're there for the money, but we're more there for us, to keep our brotherhood alive, to keep ourselves going strong for the future of our lives, literally.
Yeah, you're spot on. So one of the other things you talked about, we were kind of, pre-gaming. Oh my God, I don't know if
pre-gaming. That's good.
Sure, we'll just call it that. Jeez, what am I, 20? Anyway, you talked about probation and that it should be a good experience, and I love this conversation because I think that we're growing a lot as a fire service, and we're heading in that direction almost unanimously. Where yes, there are some corrective actions that need to happen, of course, absolutely. But could you share some of your feelings on probation and the experience that a probationary firefighter should have, and the mentality of onboarding that person?
Yeah. So my one big thing is you can't build Rome in a day, or let alone, let's just say, a year. We're not going to make a stellar firefighter in that first year. What we're trying to do is make that guy or girl one with how we do things as a department. So Carol Stream, what we want, what we expect of you, because again, we're going back to that NFPA thing, but the stuff that they teach in the academy is mandatory. they have to teach you that, and a lot of it is going to be retaught and relearned the way that, not so much what Carol Stream, but the way that we as firefighters know how to do certain things. So, but I hate the whole military, like, no, you can't come in the day room. No, it's a part of you learning the culture of the fire department. Yes, we do go to some fires, but out of those 24 hours that we're there, let's just spit 20 of those hours are underneath that roof of the firehouse, right? So I want you to learn how to be a firefighter for the department, not for fighting fires or just running EMS calls. I want you to learn everything. I want you to learn everything from the firehouse, from what we do around the firehouse to how we train. And I'm not trying to beat you up. I'm trying to help you understand firefighting even more so that you don't black out when you go to your first fire and don't remember it. I want you to enjoy the experience of what you're doing. And believe you me, you're going to struggle and there's going to be hurdles, but there's going to be very good stuff that we're able to say, oh man, you throw a ladder? Awesome. You know what? Let's push this aside. You're going to do this let's go revisit this in a month, see if you still have it. Let's go dive it into your surges a little bit more. Okay. Let's dummy this down and start very basic. And then we're going to slowly build yourself up into this. And if you're still not getting it, I'm going to take a step back and you're going to learn from Derek over here for a little while. And we're going to build you up. Like I go back to the high school that I teach at Wheaton North. I go there like every few months to teach them about first in responder stuff. You can teach anyone how to be a firefighter, but you have to have it in your heart, and you have to really want to help people. But we know you already want to do that. That's why you're here, I think, not because of the money. Let's agree on that. So you really want to be here to help people. So let me help you help people the right way. Okay. I'm going to teach you the ins and outs on why we do what we do. That's basically it. Yes, you have a probationary book that you have to go through. It's a mandatory thing that we need to do here. But I'm more worried about making sure that you understand the reasons for all of this happening. That's really what I want. And again, make him a part of the company. Don't have him be that, all right, I want a rag in your back pocket all the time, and when the chief's coffee is low, I want you to fill it up, and this rig always, and I don't want you coming in here until this time, and don't even think about sitting down at the coffee table. Hell no, come sit down at the coffee table. You're not a maggot. You're a professional firefighter getting paid the same as the other guy who just got off probation. So I'm not going to treat you that way. I want you to understand what we're here for. And I think you know this, but we get a lot of stuff sitting at that table. Okay. I'm not telling you to sit there for 3 hours and bullshit the whole time, but sit down and listen to some of this stuff, because we're talking about the 7G rate. We're talking about what foreign fire money is. We're talking about, what the trustees approved over the weekend. We're talking about where we went to dinner last night with our wife. And those are all good things to know, right? So, because this kid, he could be 21 years old. He's never sat down at a coffee table before. And now you're going to restrict him from sitting at a coffee table for a year of his probationary time? No, teach him what it is to be a firefighter. And because let's all agree, if we were that guy, it sucked. You felt like an outlier. You're like, I'm sitting at this bar all by myself. And, well, we didn't have cell phones back when I was then. But, you're trying to hide because you don't want to sit here and read this probationary book for 20 hours out of the day. So, yes, know that you need to study and you need to know your stuff. But if you're getting it, man, come learn how to be a firehouse fireman. So,
yeah, I love it. I seriously,
Yeah.
I that's the way it should be. It's welcoming, right?
Yeah,
And
show up, get there early,
Yeah.
get there early, hang out. And that's another good thing, because I see guys come in and They got there early. Well, what'd you get here early for? To get your rig check done? No. You get there early before work so that you could see what's going on and you could hear those conversations. Because if they had a fire before and then you're going to get a pass down, you kind of already got that feel of what was going on because you're and I'm not telling you to engage in the conversation so much and put your 2 cents in when you used to be a PSI medic and you had this, but listen to the conversation, especially for those young 21-year-olds that are greener than green coming into the firehouse. Yeah, come on, come sit down, come hang out. Everyone that's listening to this podcast, I think knows that, but it's up to us to teach those guys who treat probies like a piece of shit. I totally disagree. I don't think that there's a place for it. I know we're a paramilitary organization to an extent. You should work out. Am I going to make you do PT? No, right? All those things, stand on a line for roll call and make sure your shoes are shined. No, just look presentable. Know what you need to do when you get here. Do your job, and you'll get through this 30 years of your career, kid. You'll be fine. I don't call people kid yet. Don't worry. Not there yet.
I've let one or two slip. So, and I'm too young to be able to do that. But my probie, and I feel weird calling it probie because it sounds derogatory, but it's not. Like, he's a fucking awesome kid.
Yeah.
See, I just did it. I call him a kid, but he's 10 years younger than me, which is like, fuck. But
yeah,
either way.
Yeah, yep.
So his probation is different than mine. Mine was like, I didn't get like yelled and screamed at or anything like that. It was a little more formalized. Like, I couldn't sit in the recliners or anything and that kind of stuff. And whatever, I was fine. I still felt like I was pretty well taken care of. But his, like, in my book was like, you got to do a shitload of stuff. Even if you've proven competency the first time you did it, you still got to do it 3 more times. And it was just like this. Yeah. We've changed that, and it's good. It's not good. Like that anymore. We're still fine tuning things, but his is pretty much just like, hey, you were on days, we trained you. These are the things that we saw you were deficient in. My job as his mentor is to get him up to that point. I think at 3 months or something like that, and then we give him projects. We go, hey, research a line of duty and present it. Line of duty does to present it. Like,
and that's cool because people forget about those, and that's good. And that's not like a punishment. That's hey, you're going to learn about, NIOSH reports or line of duty deaths or the OSHA reports. All those things are good to start learning about, because I'm not going to make you go read a 17-page chapter book and give me a report on it. No, but that makes sense about the line of duty deaths because it's pertinent.
Yeah.
And it's stuff that we are going to sit down at a table and now that you're done, all right, let's go sit down. And then your presentation that took 15 minutes now turned into an hour of conversation about, hey, what's going on? And he's the one that's sparking that because he was the one that presented it. And that's cool. That's a good idea.
It's been really, and it wasn't my idea. It was my lieutenant actually kind of put together like the new program and everything. But all of our probationary guys do, and it's cool. Like, they really get locked in, and some of them, like, they're really good at PowerPoint. Like, I'm okay. I thought I was good because I came from that generation, but damn, but some of them are fantastic. And and the other thing is, it, like you said, it sparks more, right? So my guy, he keeps track of the year-to-date line of duty deaths.
Oh yes, we have it on there.
And
on our duty board.
And he'll come up to me now and be like, "Hey, did you hear about X, Y, and Z?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't yet." And like this, I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it because like the system works. You know what I mean? Like, it worked, and without that, who knows if he would have found those things without a platform. So
and then it doesn't stop after. All right, you're off probation. Oh, good. I don't got to go do those line of duty tests. No, you should still want to do them.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not assigning it to you, say, hey man, that Chicago guy died last year. Remember that NIOSH report came out? You think we go over that one day? Well, it's 150. Yeah, pick out the good details or go to the end that says lessons learned from this, and let's just talk about them and say how it's pertinent to where we work, and then put our shoes in in those firefighters, or put our feet in those firefighters' boots.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, that's totally a better way
oh
to
yeah,
get them to understand and believe in those
yeah,
things, rather than,
yeah,
hey, I know you threw the ladder 3 times already, but why don't you throw it again? And you did a great job, but and I don't mean like it's probably a poor example, but like, yeah,
no,
checking
no,
boxes is
no,
not.
because literally, that's exactly how I think. I'm like, guys, we've been out here half an hour. Do you guys want to keep doing this, or do you want to go light up a cigar and go talk about first and do videos? Let's pull it up on YouTube and check something out. Because I'm not saying we keep doing this, but we're doing the same thing the same time, and I'm not going to throw any curveballs at you right now because you guys got it. Let's go switch it up and do something else. What do you guys want to do?
Yeah, there's a point where those like 14-10 drills where you have to just throw every ladder on the rig does nothing for someone
Thank
anymore.
God we totally bypass all that.
We have a couple that still hang on to that.
Yeah.
Like, well, let's do a 14-10, and guys are like, no. But what if we do this?
We have to do it at 2:10 p.m. What? What's that? 14:10.
We're gonna get into the whole NFPA thing again here. That wasn't even on our list, but
no.
Yeah, the same group that says we have to have 4 on. Never mind.
Yeah, nope.
I don't have that, so
I never will.
Well, you kind of were half joking about the time, the 14:10, 2:10. This is going to be an awesome transition. But you said something that I love, and I've tried to live by, especially since having my probationary guy. And that there's any time's a good time to do something, right? And I really liked what you were saying about that. Was like, the time is now. If someone's sparked and they want to train or they want to talk about something, to not put it off, and if it's within reason, like to take on at that moment. And if you could share some of that.
Yeah, I mean, they always, like, not always, but they're like, hey, I've been working on driving. Can we go spot somewhere? I said, well, yeah, we're gonna go shopping. Let's just. What do we got? We have where do we have to be? The only place we have to be is when that tone drops. We have to be there. So unless there's food in the oven that we really have to get to. Yes, let's go do it. What do you want to do? You want to go drive around and look at that building, put the outriggers out, make sure that you know how to do it? Of course we could do that. If you want to. Now the nice weather's coming. You want to go set something on fire and show how you could use your hand pump in a room and contents fire. By all means, let's go do it. Because if you don't get used to learning that you could do stuff whenever you want to do it, you're never going to do it. So take it and run with it and say, I was kind of we haven't touched on it, and I'm perfect for this because I'm in charge of pub ed. I got some other stuff going around the firehouse, and I'm like, guys, I can't always be here for you. So if you guys feel like you want to do something, just tell me, and we'll go do it. And if I can't do it, I'll say, go do it. And if you need help, call me because I'll be in the office doing something, and it's fine. I don't care. And if you guys screw it up and you come tell me afterwards, and we need to go fix it, we'll fix it. We're going to own up to it, and we're going to make sure that it's right. So if you guys don't do it, you're never going to get the opportunity to do it. And then it's going to come up in a real life situation. And I'm like, what the hell do we do now? Because there is so much stuff that we do in the fire department that is a first time for guys. And unfortunately, it has to be on a fire scene. But it's usually not life or death that someone's life is on the line where we could sit there and learn from that experience. Now, if we could learn around the firehouse because we have the training tower, then by all means, we're going to do it. So we got a new saw, and it was a still instead of a Husqvarna, and they said, can we go? I said, yeah. So they went outside, they built 2 plywood and 3 sets of shingles on it, and they just made it a flat, and they said, oh, we're going to sink it in here and see how much we could cut with it. I said, good. I said, you guys wouldn't know that unless you guys actually tried it out. So then when they go pass it on to the next shift and say, hey, it cut good, and then they show them the chunk that they cut out of there, and it cut very well. And I said, we're going to use it. So they use it. So it's a matter of listening to your guys and say, because I can't think of everything. And yeah, we have our stupid target. It's not stupid target solutions, but it's there and it keeps us up to date on all our stuff. And uh, it's a good like opener, kind of like, oh, you know what? They talked about uh, pulling pre-connects. All right, so now as a truck, what fires are we going to pull pre-connects on? So then it just spirals into one another thing. So we pull up pictures of fires and say, all right, would you pull a pre-connect on that, or would you wait for the engine to get there if they're 3 minutes out? Oh, I don't know. So all these things get to the conversations rolling, and then before you know it, you want to try pulling it now because it's 3 o'clock? All right, well, let's go pull it. Where do we got to be? All right, as long as Jake gets into the kitchen and starts cooking by 4, we should be good. So that's what it is. If you want to do it, let's do it. If time is not restricted, by all means. But what else do we got to do?
Yeah, I mean, those thoughts come and go if you don't take advantage of them. I'm with you all day on that. It makes complete sense.
And now with nice weather coming,
I'm chomping at the bit to get out.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, just use those days. And again, it doesn't need to be hours. Sometimes it turns into hours. And at the end of it, you're like, holy cow, is everyone good? Yeah. Do we need a water break? Because everyone has been busting their ass, but everyone's been good. And before you know it, it's time for lunch. And then, hey, you guys want to do something after lunch? I'm good. If not, you guys could take it and go do whatever you guys want. And we're not a fire department where, lunch is from 12 to 1 and then everyone out of the chair. We were not big chair guys at lunchtime, but, you have to be your feet on the bay floor at 101 or otherwise this. No, and even the fire chief is this way too. If it's 1:30 and we're all sitting in the chairs talking about SOPs, it is what it is because we busted our asses during the day.
Yeah.
We're lucky. We're very, very lucky that we have it that way. But you could lose that very fast if you take advantage of it. So you just have to be smart and do the training that needs to be trained. But if Joe Schmo over here is not keeping his weight by, he was at a stupid call and he made a bad decision. It's like, well, it's good that he can make a bad decision, but you're sitting in the chairs at 1 o'clock, dicking around. So as long as everyone's good and we don't need it, then we're not going to do it. But if someone wants something, by all means, we're doing it. And there's been times where we're still out doing stuff at 8 p.m. after lunch or after dinner because we wanted to do something.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it should be fun, right? That's the point. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And when guys come back from classes, a guy just did that SCBA thing down in Champaign. He's like, hey, I learned a couple things. All right, good. After roll call, it's yours. Run with it.
Yeah.
And we didn't plan for that. He's like, hey, Tim, I learned a few. All right, cool. Derek, it's yours. Take the floor. Have fun.
Well, and I know you mentioned like Target Solutions, right? That's stupid. And dude, like I get like everyone's got to get a piece of us, right? Is OSHA and ISO and blah 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 and the state and all of that. And like that's just a reality, right? And as much as it can be annoying, and right, I'm with you, right? I would say the same stuff, right? Like stupid Target Solutions, but like, but that doesn't have to be it. And I love that you're kind of normalizing that, right? It's like, yes, they get us for that stuff, and that's fine. They can have us for that, but this is what we want to do, and we're going to take ownership of it. And yes, it's above and beyond, but like,
right. And it's never something that I click it and it's gone. Sometimes I'll open it. I'll be like, oh, that's good. You know what? Let's go out here and dive more into this.
Yeah.
It's a conversation starter.
Yeah, you can modify that into something bigger.
And then there's some stuff. It's like, all right, the throw bag for water rescue. All right, we did that. All right, check. It's done. Yeah. Does anyone need to practice throwing a rope bag again? When we go out to the lake, we'll try it again. But we're done. But if it's about throwing ladders and about how many clicks you get up here and how many rungs could be over, all those things. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I learned something down last year about this. Hey, can I try this really quick? Yeah. Get out there. Let's try it out. And then see if it makes sense. Actually debunk it or make it real. And then we can either say, you know, that's good. We're going to use that at the next fire. Cool. Let's try it at the next fire.
Yeah.
So it's good conversation, and that's from everyone, from the 1 year firefighter all the way to the 20-year fireman. You could take it from everybody, especially EMS now. I kept my medic. I still have my medic. Obviously, I don't ride in the ambulance as much, but the stuff that they're learning and teaching and little tricks to these things here and there, and the words that they're saying, I'm like, what the hell is that? And they'll explain it to me. I'm like, well, that's good. I said I love it. I love learning about it and keeping it up, and get my hands dirty when we need to. And part of that is why I like keeping my medic, is so that I'm there for you guys as a medic also. So if you guys have a question, more psychs or suicide stuff like that, those things don't change. Those are always the same.
Yeah.
But the drugs, by pushing them on adenosine and all that stuff, that's cut and dry. That's bread and butter. But it's more the complicated stuff and the changes in the system. We read them together, and I still have a knowledge of it, where I still have their back if something happens. Hey, Tim, this happened. Okay, cool. Let's open up the SOP book or the policy. Let's make sure that you guys followed everything correctly. And that's way we're prepared for when we have to explain ourselves to the system, if need be. Luckily, knock on wood, that hasn't happened, but we're ready for it. And like I said, if there ever something's happened, I'm there for them.
Yeah.
If they need something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You also said a phrase that I pulled out when we were talking, and I loved it. And we've talked a little bit about brotherhood, and I want to get back into it because I love talking about fire service culture and the brotherhood and everything. But you said a quote that I wrote down that I love, and it was, "The pay is good, the guys are better." And I love that mentality. It's yes. You mentioned, like, we don't get into it for the pay. We're fortunate enough, right? I feel ya. Like, my wife doesn't work. I make enough money where I can have my wife stay at home with my kids. And yes, I'm lucky to be able to have that and do a job that I love. But I don't know, where did that thought come from? Elaborate on that a little bit more, because honestly, I just love the quote and I want to hear you talk about it.
I can't go find a job other than firefighting that has the brotherhood like we do. That if I'm moving tomorrow, I'll have 12 firemen here to help me move out of my house. If you needed something, their guys will drop at a dime. I've never gone on more golf outings. If I worked at Walmart, no offense to Walmart, but I'm probably not going to get 12 employees from Walmart to go on a golfing trip. You go anywhere, and I'm there for the pay, to pay for the roof over my head, but I cannot find this friendship as much as good as like my high school buddies, who I still love to death. This is like that. It's like I'm going to a kegger with all my guys that I went to high school with at the firehouse. And that's exactly what I wasn't a part of a fraternity in college, but that's exactly what it feels like. I've been at fraternity parties, obviously, but that's how it feels, and it's brotherhood for life. I had 3 tables of firefighters at my wedding when I got married in 2014, and because that's exactly, it's a family, and you give everything. You think we're not. Yes, I care for Carol Stream, but I really am doing it for my guys that I work with. For my fire chief, for my deputy chiefs, for my battalion chief. Like, I'm trying to prove to them that we're good. Like, we're family till the end. How many funerals and wakes that I've been to for guys that I haven't known in the fire service? I'm a part of the IAFF Honor Guard, because it's the right thing to do. That's exactly what we're here for. And as well as I do, there's a few people in the fire service that are here for the paycheck, and some of those guys stick out. But most of the guys are really here to help people that they've never met in their lives, and B, to be a part of this culture and brotherhood and family that the only comparable is military, honestly. Even I love the police officers, but they don't have what we have because they're all separate, and God bless them that they're all in their own cars and out doing what they do to protect us and the other citizens. But they don't have the connectivity that we have of living each other for 12 or 24 to 48 hours. And the stuff that we do for each other is literally it's unmatchable to any other career. I can't think of any other career that has the bond that fire departments have. So
Yeah, where beer and pizza can move an entire mountain, right? Like, I'm with you. And Chris Leonhardt here says brotherhood is you can walk in any fire station anywhere and say I'm a firefighter in blank, and you are immediately accepted as family. And like,
absolutely,
it's totally true. That's
yeah. You can leave $100 bill on the counter when you leave shift, and next shift that $100 bill will still be sitting there because it's you know that it's everyone knows that that's who it is, and it's trust. Trust is a huge thing. I trust my guys with myself, and they know that they could trust me with their lives and their wives and girlfriends. I have all their numbers in my phone, and they could call me whenever they want. They have my wife's number if they need to call her more because she bakes, so they bake her all good stuff all the time. But we know each other all by first names, and we call each other, and we go on dinner dates and holidays because we're truly a family, and you can't get that. Maybe you can get that other places, but I haven't seen it like it is in the fire service.
Yeah, not like this. No, not like the fire service.
No.
Well, I'm at a point. We've got a couple of viewers, so if you've got something that you want to ask Tim, please throw it in the chat. I'm going to roll into some other questions, but I wanted to take a break to make sure that I acknowledge that, right? So if there's anything that he said or that you're interested in asking him, it is live, so throw it in there, and I will absolutely ask it. I always appreciate the curveball, so, and I'm sure you would accept it as well. So you don't really have a choice, I guess, but
put me on the hot seat.
That's it. You're signed up for it. But what I'm going to roll into, and it's not. Kevin Maxzo is asking what are you drinking? that's not quite hot seat, but it's
vodka and Monster.
There you go. Ooh, that's not a bad one. What kind of vodka are you doing though? That's
Kirkland.
Nice. The old Costco brand. Oh, I love it.
They went from the frosted to the clear, so we're good.
That's like doing some. That's Sailor Jerry. There's one that's even Admiral Nelson. Oh my God. That's not even a fireman story, and I won't tell that one. But anyway, so I'm gonna roll into what are kind of the closing questions, but it's not like I'm running out of time, so don't worry about that. So the first one, you kind of talked about it, and I would love if you expanded on this too, because I really do love, again, normalizing talking about mistakes, right? So what's one mistake that you've made in your career and that you've learned from, and how can others learn from that mistake that you've made?
I guess it's very simple. When I was younger, I was on full-time on Hanover Park, and I took for granted that I was a full-time firefighter, and I just kept with the partying and going crazy and drinking late at night, and that was just I can't even. It was a different Tim. I didn't realize how important being a professional firefighter actually was, and for the mistakes that I could have been making, for the stupid mistakes I was making off duty. When you are off duty, people still know Tim Cicero as, and now they know me as a Carol Stream firefighter. But other than that, people could still pin you to being a full-time firefighter. What you do off duty can really affect you on duty. So I think the biggest thing that I could say is don't be stupid when you're off duty. I could say this now because I'm 42 years old and I'm not that stupid anymore. Um, but it's very easy for young firefighters to, we're very courageous and we think we're invincible when we're younger. But you can still make bad decisions. So have fun, but don't be stupid is my big thing.
I like it. Yeah, we're all bold and brash, especially
Yeah.
at that age. And yeah, no, that's great advice for sure. Kind of circling back to mentors and that I know you said lots of names come to mind, right? And I love that and respect that. But if you could maybe give one or a handful that really, like, we're talking early in your career, right? So you first get in and someone. The reason I kind of asked the question was because you don't always get an opportunity to tell that person thank you. You influenced me early in my career, and that's kind of the framing around it. But really, just early in your career, someone that really influenced you positively.
So what? I'll go on to when I was just got on full time in Carol Stream, and my barn boss was Tracy Denton, and I didn't really understand barn boss that much. I knew what it was from Lincolnwood because I had Dean Friedland. He was great, but when I got on Carol Stream, Tracy Denton was my guy, and he really taught me more than just firefighting, but he taught me about the firehouse and taking ownership and learning everything from what's inside the house. So and I was just a new homeowner at the time, and he taught me about everything from how the generator worked that ran the station to how to change the faucet, to fix the refrigerator ice machine, to help change the brakes on the pickup truck. And he was even the guy that I'm like, Tracy, I got this clicking in the back of my car. He's like, well, pull it in. Let's check it out. So next thing you know, Tracy's all dirty underneath there at 9 p.m. And he's helping me change a fuel filter on my pickup truck. And he doesn't need to do this. He's a married man with kids at home, and it's his day off or his day working, but he just wants to go sit in the soft chair at 9 p.m. But no, he's hands dirty, giving you everything that he knows. But again, he wasn't just teaching. He wasn't doing it for me. He was showing me how to change a fuel filter. So I was getting my hands dirty, and he was showing, and that's kind of where it all, that's where some of it started, where he's teaching me how to do it. And to date, there's stuff that I do around the firehouse. I'm like, I'm going to Denton the fuck out of this right now, because I'm going to take ownership and I'm going to YouTube it. Even though he wasn't there, I'm going to YouTube and figure out how to change this and figure it out and make it work. And that's kind of where everything started in my full-time career, to say, no, just figure it out and do it yourself. Instead of looking at it saying, oh, that sucks, and keep walking, fix it. Fix it, make it your own, because in 10 years, you're going to look at that and say, I remember when I hung that bell up there and we did that, and there's a lot of stuff at the firehouse. I have a patch wall. I have a line of duty death wall. I have a station 28 wall. Those are all things. He's like, Tim, if you want to do it, just ask the station maintenance guy if you could buy $100 worth of painting stuff and do it. Just get permission and you'll be fine. And Chief Colme was our chief at the time, and he's like, take ownership and make this house your own. So we literally did that. And it was because of Tracy. He's like, if you want to do it, you just got to get it done yourself. You take ownership of it. So.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's what a great thing to set off right away.
Yeah.
And, the fire station becoming a shop and a place for mechanics. There's some people that freak out about that, and it's funny you mentioned that. I feel like that's a cultural thing for us. Like, I have a guy at work who literally rebuilt his suspension on a Sunday, right? On a Sunday where, but he was like, I'm going to do everything, swing arms, everything. And it was just guys underneath it getting dirty, bullshitting, putting some tunes on. It's just I don't know. It's just a thing. Like I don't. It's funny that you mention it because like I've noticed that in every organization I've worked. Is just doing that stuff and figuring it out. Most of it's been cars because we're cheap bastards and we don't want to spend money on stuff. But like, but we have a group of people and a closed place to work on it, right? Like,
right. And I tell them like the faucet, the middle sink broke.
Yeah, that too.
I said, hey, we're a multi-million-dollar company here, right?
Yeah.
Let's go find out what's broken. Go to the store, buy $25 worth of parts, and YouTube to figure out how to do it. Because guess what, kid, when you buy your house in a couple of years, you're not gonna call a plumber to get him out there for $79. You're gonna go to the store and you're gonna figure this out yourself. Well, Tim, I've never done this before. I said, well, you're gonna do it now. And if we flood the place, oh well, we'll just mop it up and keep working.
Well,
I said we could, because we're not gonna. If you get used to calling the maintenance, we are maintenance men. People call us to their house when they have. Yes, if you're gonna tell them that, I just called the plumber out to fix my sink. Wait, my gas is leaking. Can you fix that? Well, no, I'm gonna call the gas company. No, you're gonna find the leak and you're gonna see if you could fix it yourself. Yeah. So we're fixing it.
You meant like that kid, even if they just learned and they bought their first house and now they've changed the faucet. The second their neighbor finds out that they're a firefighter, they're getting called for everything. Yeah. Someone's knocking on their door going, "Hey, I got this weird sound in my. Can you come?" Like, it doesn't matter. You can't get away from that.
But then if you fix, you get a 12-pack on your front porch.
Boom, right? Yeah. But that's what we are. We're problem solvers. We fix things. Like, that's being a firefighter. Right. So, like,
when people don't know what the problem is, they call us. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And like, I've always wondered where that came from. And as I've gotten older in the fire service, I've learned, like, you approach all these situations, or guys bring stuff in, or hey, I need someone to help me move lumber to work on my deck or something like that. And you just get involved in all this stuff. And, 20 years later, you're like, holy shit, I know how to build a house now. Like, where did that even come from?
Yeah. Or the guys that are going to help you build the house.
Or, enough people. It doesn't happen as much anymore with some bigger things. But, like, one of my captain was saying that he never paid for roofers. Beer and pizza.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone would come over and they reshingle a roof. And then next year they do the next
like on
guy's
rescue,
roof.
The old school rescue me. You're like, we got to rebuild this deck. All right.
and no one thought twice about it. And everybody knew how to swing a hammer. Like, it's...
Yep.
I think that... So, like, I know generationally, like, there's a lot of people that are like, the new generation doesn't know how to do... People would say that about my generation, too. Like, I'm a millennial. But it seems like the fire service is still figuring that out. Like, one thing at a time, and I think it's because of that, because we have to solve people's problems, and
that's
then you just learn
for,
how to do stuff. Have you ever lost your passion for the fire service? And if you did, what'd you do to get it back, and what keeps you passionate about
it? My passion has always been there, and getting the lieutenant spot when I did was bittersweet, because it was right when I was full-time 10 years, but obviously I was in the fire service for going back to that 15 years at the time. But it was like, I just felt not a change, just a different feel, because I think I'm still doing the same job. It's just that I'm helping younger guys. I just have a better position to help guys get to a higher position. And I don't realize that they are looking at me differently as being a lieutenant, because I still look at other lieutenants that I've had as being a good lieutenant. And hopefully people are going to start looking at me that way. But so the passion has never changed. My passion has changed in a good way, to say that of how I'm going to do stuff better for other people. The only in 2018 I fell off a ladder. I shattered my right arm. I broke my wrist and I broke my teeth. And that night, it was the day after Thanksgiving, I was in Delnor, and the wrist doctor, she said, "Tim, we're going to go into surgery, but I can't guarantee you're going to be back to firefighting ever again." And I bawled like a little schoolgirl. Because this was what I lived for. I mean, I've been in the fire service longer than I've had my own family, and that was all that I knew. Yes, I knew my family, but firefighting was my life at the time. And if I didn't have that, I'd have my family, but I wouldn't have the passion of work. Yes, the pay wouldn't be there, but it was more, I was losing what I've had for since 2004. So I went down like this. But the week that I was in the hospital for a week, but when I got out of the hospital, it went like this because the outpouring of help and support from not just the fire service, but police departments and citizens and neighbors and family and friends was overpowering and overjoying that I went from here to skyrocket out. And that's why I'm still a firefighter today, is because of I was back in a fire truck in 10 months after I fell off the ladder. It was off duty when I was putting up Christmas lights, but it took me 10 months to get back to where they thought it would be never, if not over a year. So I got back in 10 months, and it was a lot because of my wife and family. It was a lot because of my friends and family, the firefighters, police officers, everyone that literally kept me going to say, no, you could do this. And now I keep seeing other firefighters get injured and people helping them to get back to where they need to be. It's all in here. It's your heart. If you have the passion for the job, you can do it. You can get back to where you need to be. And I've seen a lot of other guys follow through with more than my injuries. And I've had a lot, but guys have had more, and they get back to the job. So I've been down pretty freaking low, like scraping the bottom, but I was picked up, brushed off, and put back on top. So
yeah, they brought you back up, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I was sitting in my lieutenant interview, my assessment center, and I knew one of the chiefs, and he's like, how are you doing? Because it was only a year or two after I was back. And I said, I'm good. He's like, you're full? I said, yeah, I wouldn't be here if I was in full duty. I said, I'm ready to go. He's like, that's awesome. So it was a good feeling to know that everyone was out there for me and supporting me. And it's really what got me back to where I am today.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah. Longer question, because I try to make sure that I explain it right. So if you were going to give someone a sense of how fire service culture should work, you're going to put them with one person, and they're going to show them everything. So someone that knows nothing about the fire service, you're going to put them with one person, alive or dead, that represents the fire service and is going to tell them what our culture's like. Who's it going to be?
It has to be Chief Hoff, only because of what he's the stories he's told me is when he used to be just a kid that would ride along on the fire truck, a ride along. That was it. And he knows everything, and he's seen literally everything. He won't tell you that, but he talks about a lot of things, and from his culture to the stuff that he's been in, to his experiences, to his exposure to life and death, literally. And the culture in Chicago is a different animal by all means. It's its own state, for if you had to tell me, because Chicago works way differently than the suburbs of Chicago. But he really feels for everything that the fire service is about, and he can give knowledge to a one-day guy. He can give knowledge to a 13-year lieutenant. He can give knowledge to a 6-year firefighter. He literally comes to your level and says, all right, where are you at, kid? Not kid. He really doesn't call you kid. He talks to, hey, Tim, what do you need? I could call him right now, and he's like, hey, Timmy, what do you need? He does not let anything, he'll never let you know that he's better than you. even though we all know that he is. So he makes you feel like you're somebody. He makes you feel like there's a purpose for you in this fire service, and that you are going to be the best firefighter that this fire service will ever have. And to the point of giving you the shirt off his back, to letting you make the mistake, to helping you after the fact, to showing up when you least expect him to show up, to having almost every answer that you have, and admitting every problem that he has ever had or is having. I mean, there's no shame in what that man does. So, I'm pretty sure that everyone knows about him and who he is, or you've heard him talk, and it's very down to earth and passionate. Passionate's a good word.
Yeah. I was down for RIT last year, and he was there active still, and I think that's one of the coolest things, at least from what I've experienced with him, is like he's still at the street level into it. You know what I mean? Like watching him get excited about us doing our drills during RIT Under Fire. He was still into it at the street level, which is like mind blowing for that. You know what I mean?
So with that, all of us who's ever watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, we all have that opportunity to be a chief off. You should never, ever not want to go into that building. There are way too many chiefs out there that think that they should be in the front yard or in their freaking car by the command board. I know that those people need to be there, but you should always want to be in that freaking building. There is no reason that if you think that you shouldn't be in there because you don't want to go, then get the fuck out of the fire service. You should be there for your guys. And Bob Hoff has always been there for his guys. If there was anything ever wrong, he's taught me how to climb drywall to get into an attic without a fucking attic ladder. And he did that. He showed it to me. This guy who's in his 60s, he literally scaled this drywall and was in the attic. Come on, Tim, come on up here. I'm like, all right, chief, I'm coming. And I did the same exact thing. And I've taught it to my guys. And he literally does not age in mentality or heart. His heart is always there. His mind is always there. He's always he wants to be in it. He wants to be in it. And they don't teach that in classes. He doesn't have a master's degree in fire management. No. You learn all of that from the firehouse. And on that note, I tried taking an FO class once and online, and I passed the class and I didn't pass the final because I just couldn't do it because I wasn't hands-on. And am I ever going to go get it? Probably not. Why? Because everything that I need to know about the fire service, I have every day at shift. And I'm learning firsthand from everybody, from the battalion chief to the deputy chief to the chief. They're not going to teach me that in the class. I'm a trustee here in Sugar Grove. I'm not taking any extra classes to do that, but I'm learning all the budgets. I'm learning all the administration. I'm learning all that through me being Tim Cicero. I feel like I learned so much more with the day-to-day circumstances, instances, problems, good stuff, public education, everything that Carol Stream has to offer, which we're a big town and we have 3 stations and we run a truck, a squad, an engine, battalion chief, three ambulances, 2 deputy chiefs, and a chief. I live that every third day, if not more. And I can't learn that in the class. A week-long class that's going to tell me something. I know that it should be there for some people, but I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to. Everything that I learned in COD for my associates in fire science, no, I didn't use one little thing of that to get to where I am today. It's getting me an extra $750 on my paycheck at the end of the year. That's it. That's all that it's getting. I don't need that. I would not even blink an eye if someone asked me to go get my bachelor's in fire management. Hell no. And we have tuition reimbursement. I don't want it. I don't want to go through that hassle just to get ascertained merit points to bump me up on a test. I'm sorry. I would rather the personal experience that I'm going to endure while I'm being a lieutenant, hopefully acting up as a battalion chief. Hopefully I'll eventually be able to be a battalion chief down the road. But I'm going to do all that myself. I don't need someone to teach me those classes to go on in my career. And if I'm not able to be a deputy chief or a chief somewhere because I don't have the bachelor's degree in something, then I'm not meant to be that high to where you want me to. I would rather a 30-year fireman be a fire chief somewhere than a 30-year fireman who's got the ascertained merit of, I got my master's degree in this and that. That means shit to me. How many fires have you been in?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How many times have you been command? Have you been interior? Have you been in safety? Have you ran RIT? Have you experienced a RIT? All those things I want to know. I can care less if you sat through fucking classes.
Yeah.
That doesn't tell me shit.
There's IFSI. Well, he's a regional. Dan Bracken, and he says your resume.
Oh, Danny Bracken, love it. Yes.
Dude, your resume's in the streets. That's what Bracken says, and I love that.
Richie Stack. Oh my God. Yeah, Timmy Walsh. They didn't learn their stuff from classes. They might teach the fucking classes because they're paying them to do it. That's fine. But they're teaching those classes on. You're going to learn more from hearing their experiences than they're reading the books that tell you how to do it. That's just my personal belief in all that. I want someone that has been there. I want someone that has ran multiple extrications. That has been high-rise building command, and you're not even going to put that on a resume. I just want to know where you've been and what you've experienced and where you've been. Because if you were a battalion chief of a Posen's bad, of some podunk town down south, and you have all those the master's degree and everything, so now you're eligible to run a fire department in Carol Stream? Fuck no. It doesn't matter. There's a reason why we had a lieutenant from Carol Stream get bumped up to deputy chief, because he knows what Carol Stream needs. He knows what they want. We had a guy come over from West Chicago to be another deputy chief in Carol Stream. And that's because he knows what Carol Stream needs. He knows what our vision is. Our vision is not to put stuff on paper and make it real. Our vision is to make good firefighters, lieutenants, battalion chiefs that are going to hit the street running and get the fire out with all the surrounding towns and everyone collectively getting to the main purpose. The vision is what we want, not on paper. Fuck the paper.
Yeah.
We want you to put it on the street and make everyone understand what we need to do.
Yeah, it's tangible, right?
Oh my God,
I feel
yes.
ya. I get what you're saying.
I don't need 100%. Paper to show me shit.
Yeah. That's dude.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, shit. Oh man, that's all right. Well, I guess it's my last question, which is kind of a bummer because I feel like we just got to roll here. But
sorry.
No, dude, don't apologize. I mean, maybe it's a blunt and short question, and it's what's the best part of the job?
The best part is the tones dropping for a structure fire. That's it, because you see the excitement in the guys, because we push ourselves for, we want it. Yes, we feel bad that the family's getting burdened, but that I still get it from the first fire that I had. You still get that excitement of that bell tone and those general tones that come over that really get you going. And now that I am the lieutenant, it's no nervousness on the way to a fire, right? And you could hear that, PD's on the scene, they got fire blowing out the front, pumped up. Yeah, guys, we, pump each other up. because I've had those lieutenants like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Are we going to be first truck? Are we going to be second truck? Oh my God, what if we have to do this? I'm like, well, this is going to be great. We're going to have so much fun. And just getting the pump up of the guys. And you know what's even better? When we get back and the ambulance guys are, oh man, because they wanted it so bad. And that just makes you kind of feel good, because it's like they really want it, right? Because we all have those senior 20 plus guys who are on the ambulance and they're like, oh, that's kind of cool that I missed that fire. Fuck, then get out of here. I don't want you here. Yes. Then stay on the ambulance every time, because I'll rather take guys that want to go to that fire all the time. So if I could two-part this, the best part is going way back to high school. I had to decide between being a teacher and being a firefighter. I got the best of both, because now I am an instructor. I'm a teacher, right? And again, I didn't take no instructor classes that they taught me. I've just been a natural teacher, right? I used to be a manager of a pool, and I taught 16-year-olds how to be a lifeguard. So I could teach anyone how to be a firefighter. And being able to have my own classroom every single shift is kind of a nice thing. And then able to push that away and say, guys, you take it and go, and then go back to doing other stuff, and then still getting the firefighter part of it. It's awesome. And I've thought about going to be the instructor, and it's just hard with the 4 kids at home and the side business and all this other stuff. It's just hard being 42 years old, and I want to make time for my family. So the fact that I am at Carol Stream and I'm able to still instruct or teach when I'm there, it's the best of both worlds. So I really won the lottery there.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, like those classes, like unless you get lucky and one of the instructors is like teaches you the real street stuff, like you really don't get.
No, it's a formality,
right?
It's literally it's a certificate.
So I was lucky. We talked about Tim Chief Leidig, who connected us.
Yeah.
He taught my instructor class, and that was the first time I'd ever had any experience with him whatsoever. And he was the instructor that taught us how to be instructors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, we had our curriculum that we had to do, but he actually taught us how to be instructors and how to conduct yourself and how to connect with people and that kind of stuff. And so even though yes, got a certification out of the end of it, like. Had he not been there, yeah, maybe there would have been another instructor that filled that role. But yeah, you get way more out of, again, the streets. Your resume's in the streets.
Right.
Like you get way more out of somebody that
it's all about hands. Yes. Yeah.
And so, as I feel you. I went to instructor too last year, and it was like, it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal.
Right.
Like,
and you're like, just get through this, because then I get the piece of paper that says that I've.
Like I was already, so you guys with the Alliance and everything, I know that like somebody else writes your lesson plans and all that stuff. We have a training committee, and so we write them, and we put them together. And the only way to do that is to be instructor too. But I'd already been writing them before that, so it was like, just let me get through this. It's a week, and I hate having that mentality with learning in the classes, but it was it was like I need to get through this so I can just move on with my life, like. But at least what was nice was when we had to write stuff. I already had a bunch, and I just dragged it over and put it into their form and doctored up my PowerPoint a little bit. Like
I worked on this all night.
Yeah. Oh man, I've been working on that. Yeah, I didn't sleep at all last night.
Oh.
Well, cool. I love the chat. This was awesome, and I really appreciate it. I'm telling you, if I'm gonna. Me and my lieutenant are going to try to come down there at some point when you guys are training, and I hope that you guys are there.
Yeah.
Whenever you guys do your big group ones, because we just more or less wanted to be spectators. He's going for command. I'm going because.
Yeah. The group ones are. It's really good. We just did the single family last week. It's great. Next month is high rise. That's always. It's a shit show, but it's great to see it. I mean. We're very dialed in. Mass casualty, we've seen it on TV and how shitty that can go. And I guarantee it's going to go shitty if it happens out by us. But we have our heads wrapped around it. And the fact that we do it every month, with each other, not just training together, makes it so that we know each other's tones, we know each other, so it makes it really good to be a part of everyone. Just and people bash the alliance and people like the alliance. At the end of the day, I know everyone that I'm working with when I go to a fire, and that's what's really cool about it. That's hands down the best part. I know who's inside with me. If it's not a Carol Stream company, I know them by first name.
Yeah.
I probably had beers with them at some point.
Yeah.
But what's cool is I know where they're going. They know where I'm going. If I see someone, I Chiefs, even Chiefs, I call them by their first name. They don't give a shit because we're just getting the work done. And we shake hands at the end, say thanks for playing, and then we go on our lives, and then we see each other again next week for training, and then we get another fire, and it's like it just makes our fire department bigger of everyone that we know. Yeah, it's awesome.
No, it's I never knew anything about it until my old man went down there, and it sounds unbelievable for someone where I'm at in Lake County, where it's kind of like Chiefs are kings of their kingdoms, right? And like, but to see it work and like, everybody's gonna come mutual aid anyway. It's not like you're fighting only your fires, so you might as well know everyone, right?
And we nitpick the fuck out of it because we can.
Yeah.
But if you were to go 50 miles to the west and take 6 departments that are around each other and put them on a fire scene and say, go fight the fire, it's going to look fucking chaotic.
Yeah.
But if you do it in our small portion of DuPage County and you're a fireman who knows what you're going to be like, holy shit, did that fire just go out like that? Like that with little communication, and everyone just knew what the hell to do. And everyone has a part in what they do. And not every place is built like this. Sure. And not many places could do it because the stuff is too far away. We just are very lucky geographically on how we're able to put this piece it all together, and logistically when we get to a fire, it works. Yeah
Again,
and it started right when I got hired full-time, so I've seen the full circle of it, and the way that it works together with the right people, it's good.
Well, it's almost like most other places do these big county fire departments, right? Where you've got it's almost like that, but we can't do that in Illinois, or I guess they could probably create a county-wide fire department or something, but it's almost like a way that the Chiefs went, we're just gonna kind of do that anyway, so we're all organized, and everyone's got their own village or district or whatever, but like we're standardizing our shit.
Yeah, but it's just like how we're saying, hey, you want to go train on that? Go ahead. We're doing that. Yeah. We're telling our village or our trustees, hey, we're going to be training with these guys. We're not going to be riding on each other's rigs or sharing rigs or doing this stuff. But when we get to a fire, we're going to know what those guys are doing. They're going to know what we're doing so that we don't kill somebody.
Yeah. No, it's a cool thing for sure. It's interesting. Again, I wasn't a believer until.
Yeah, you're always welcome to come.
Yeah, I know. I keep poking at the old man, and I just need to line it up right and come down. And I got to either hide or, well, I can't now because I just said it on this. But I was going to say, because if I bring down my bunker gear, like I got to make sure that back home they're okay with that. So, you know what I mean?
Just come on by. But, don't call your dad.
No. Him, I don't care about. He's all about it.
No, I know, but he's not. Yeah. Call me, I'll get you in there quicker.
Just stuff me some loaner gear and let's go.
Yeah. I got a few sets. We'll get you in
just
one.
Figure it out, yeah. Well, cool, man. I really appreciate the conversation. It was a lot of fun. And if anybody maybe wanted to get a hold of you or anything like that, how could they do that?
I don't care. You could call my cell phone if you want to. 630-973-3991. You could also email me at Tim Cicero, Cicero @yahoo.com. Or you can check out my Facebook page at timmysengravings.com. I do a lot of that stuff. Woodworking, metal engraving, slate, whatever you need. But literally, like I tell all the younger generation, I said, when I teach COD, sometimes I go in there and you guys are always welcome to Carol Stream. I mean, I just had a couple guys from Montgomery stop by the other day. gave them a challenge coin. They thought it was the world. Gave them a T-shirt. They're like, "Do you want $20?" I said, "No, it's a T-shirt. Take the T-shirt, but you're always welcome here. Walk around, hang out. We're not shy. We're here for the public. We're servants. I tell my guy, we're servants. When the bell rings, we got to serve people. When someone walks through the door, we got to serve people. So please don't hesitate. And if you're another guy at a fire department and you want to come right along, please come hang out with me. If you just want to come walk around our firehouse and see how cool our firehouse looks with how we made our own watch desk, which we call the bar. We do have the line of duty death wall that goes back to 1977 when they started keeping track of line of duty desks that we update every year. The patch wall from all the fire departments that guys have visited, or we hold a lot of classes, so guys come by there. Just see how you can make it your own. And it literally from foreign fire purchases to stuff like that, just to get an idea of what other firehouses look like. We love it. I mean, my guys love having people over, introducing them to different stuff that we have, seeing our burn tower, different stuff that we've learned on how to force doors, stuff. Oh, please, by all means, anyone is always welcome.
I love it.
So
that's the way it should be.
Yeah, like a Chicago firehouse.
Yeah. Well, with that, I'm gonna close us. We'll hang out in the green room for a minute or two after. But everyone have a nice night, or whenever you listen to this. If it's not night, you know the drill. And we'll catch you on the next one. I'll update my calendar. I haven't yet in a while. So, but thanks again, Tim.
Thank you, Alex.